Welcome back to the show. Lots of video from all over America of celebrations last night. Many of the celebrations were on college campuses. Kids 17, 18, 19 years old, maybe too young to remember 9/11. And how should you handle dealing with this news with your youngsters, especially the wee ones?
Family therapist Dr. Larry Curry here with more on how to talk to our kids about Osama bin Laden. So for a lot of kids, I was just saying, they'll go to school today, and even if we as parents aren't ready to talk about that, they will hear it. They'll hear it from someone else.
You know, the discussion is there. We see it on the news, but also with their peers. And I think the concern is how parents would interpret this. You know, either it's talked about too much or it's not talked about enough or it's not explained. And also the age of the child has a great bearing on this as well in terms of their comprehension.
Okay, so start with age appropriate, you said. How much you reveal according to their age?
Age appropriate. Let's just say a 4 or 5-year-old that sees the news and all of a sudden, actually I was talking with one of the producers about this and she was focused on the news. It's very appropriate to sit down with that 4 or 5-year-old and say something very important is going on and try and explain in their terms for that age. If we give too much information, we over-inundate them and we kind of put them more in a trauma by this because we create more questions. They're very short attention spans, so they can only stand a short amount of information in a short time frame.
So at what age do you think it's okay to really explain what happened where they can comprehend and understand?
I think we're finding that 8, 9, 10-year-olds can dialogue about something like this. They talk about it in school, they talk about it with their peers, they voice their own opinion, and so again, they'll go to a certain point and then they're done with it. They've had enough. Older, our junior high school children, our high school children, have stronger views and values about this, and they're probably going to talk about it much more. They have some very strong divisions about, you know, this was really right, this is what we should have done. Other people are going to be kind of mixed emotions because it's murder and murder. So
I'm curious about this. The internet's really blowing up about this PC idea of we should never celebrate a person's murder. And yet a lot of people are saying this man was like Hitler. We should be celebrating, and there's a right to celebrate.
Exactly.
How do you handle that with kids?
Well, it's the interpretation. A lot of the children we're talking about don't even remember 9/11. So they don't know the reason why people are so excited about this and why they're celebrating. And then the other part of it is that it's kind of justice, and it is, and people should feel good about that. We finally can put closure on this. But when you don't know what it is, it's no different than a video game. You just get wrapped up into the thrill of it. Well, now anybody can become the victim of that. So we want to really make sure that we take the time and explain it to children so that they understand what this is really all about. I mean, it's like it's not the end of the war, it's a different chapter this close, and we don't know what tomorrow will bring, but an explanation needs to be made. We hope that this is taking place in schools and that parents will take the time, but in those situations where that doesn't take place, somebody has to step up and explain to children.
And, you know, it's a good chance for us, because those kids were so young or maybe not even born when 9/11 happened, to take a step back and take some time to explain the importance of that to them.
And we're all going to be traumatized by this on some level.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Thanks
for
the
the advice,
advice,
too. Thank you.
Certainly everyone's going to be talking about it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Here she's 40. Have you heard the news?
Great.
I don't believe it.
Everybody knows now.
Isn't he nice? You do look awful
nice.
good. So up
Thank
next,
you, Dr.
not
Curry.
only is she